Welcome to Open Studio, ladies and gentlemen. This time of the hour, Nyayazi, we get in conversation with people that make a difference in our communities. And if you want to be part of the conversations, you can dial us on 021 or email junaid@capetowntv.org and let us know about the issues that you face in each community so that we present it to Cape Townians as well as the rest of the country. My name is Lama Limun. I'll be with you till 5:30. Joining me in studio is Zane Poole. We're going to be talking about water and sanitation in the Western Cape. We all know that water is a source of life. We drink it, we wash with it, we cook with it. And if it disappears, what's going to happen to us, the animals, the plants, the planet? Welcome to the show, Mr. Poole.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I'm very well, thank you. You are with Back to Work campaign, water and sanitation.
That's correct.
What is the organization all about?
Well, we specifically deal with getting people to fight for jobs, housing, and services. And today's episode is about water and sanitation, which is one of the services we deal with.
So, what is water and sanitation in local government?
It is the provision of safe, drinkable water to all South African citizens through national government, provincial government, and local government. It is governed by 4 United Nations declarations and 2 South African positions. United Nations Declaration on Human Rights, the International Convention of Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, our South African Constitution, Section 2, Chapter 2, Section 27, the right to water, the Water Services Act 108 of 1997, that everybody has a right to water, and water is a human right.
Yeah. Water rates are so expensive. What I would need to find out is if water payment is abolished within the city of Cape Town, is it going to be within certain areas or does it go for the rest of the Western Cape?
Before that question, the way water is distributed in the Western Cape is your white areas get quality water with quality pipes, quality infrastructure. All our communities, where it's backyard dwellers, council houses, shacks, get the communal tap. And if we say we must abolish the cost of water, we're saying that non-white people must not pay for water. Because we were deprived of adequate water supply, and white people could afford to pay for water, they can still pay for services. The unemployed can't pay for water. The backyard dweller can't pay for water. Therefore, it is our view that water, because it is free, it must be distributed freely. And we are saying that everybody who was discriminated under apartheid must get free water.
In reality, the water payment is not abolished yet. In your expertise, do you have an understanding if we're paying the same rates as the white areas that you just spoke of within the black areas as well? Are we paying the same rate?
You're saying paying the same rate, yes.
Okay.
But if you're unemployed and you can't pay, they come cut off your water. And that is an infringement of your human right.
Yeah. Water quality and issues are a major problem with communities such as Khayelitsha, which is the biggest township in the Western Cape, at Delft, Kwalanga, Manenberg. Is there something being done by government, and is that something enough, or is it good enough?
The issue is not whether it's, I think you must specify which sphere of government. We're speaking about local government, we're speaking of the city of Cape Town. The city of Cape Town, since the advent of democracy, has not upgraded the infrastructure to our Khayelitshas, our Kwalangas, our Delfts, our Westbanks. So people are deprived of water, which deprives them of their human right.
What's the excuse?
I think the city is saying that there's not enough money for infrastructure, upgrading of infrastructure.
Do we believe that?
I don't believe that. They employ their executive managers, their directors at millions of rand a year. That money can be used to lay new pipes, to lay better quality pipes. so that we also don't waste water.
Yeah. Another question is, what is the SA Water Service Act 108 of 1997?
When we got our constitution in 1994,
Mm.
chapter 2 says we have the right to water. Now, to bring that into reality, government then brought about the Water Services Act. That act says if you provide water, for example, the city, that water must be provided to everybody. It must be safe for drinking, for washing, for cooking, for doing the laundry. Also, not only that, it must also be used for sanitation. Because now in this COVID pandemic, where there's no water, health is impacted on the lack of sanitation.
Yeah.
And sanitation is an important part of this Water Services Act. And where there is also no sanitation, that is an infringement on your rights.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that. Funny enough, you brought it before I did. Because there are these communicable diseases. Has SA done enough research in regards to effects of water and sanitation when it comes to those?
There's a lot of research entities like the Water Caucus of the Western Cape, the Water Caucus of South Africa, UCT. They've all done these studies. But the recommendations they do, they send to government. Those recommendations are not accepted.
Mm.
The challenge for us is our communities are complacent with regard to the issue of water and sanitation. People will sit without water for months on end and not complain. And I think the city is still applying this apartheid spatial planning of where they don't care about us not having water, but they provide it to the white areas.
And we still vote.
It's time to vote the DA out of power.
Okay. Woo! We're talking water and sanitation right here on Open Studio in conversation with Lamali Moon as well as Zane Poole. Keep it locked right here, and we'll return with more talk right here on Cape Town Television. Thank you for joining us. Channel 263 on your DSTV between now and 5:30. You're tuning to Open Studio. We're in conversation with Lama Limun and Zane Poole. We're talking about water and sanitation. Zane, we know that in recent times, Cape Town almost reached day zero. We were almost out of water. Um, has the government done enough, or what implementations should they do to avoid such a thing happening again in the near future?
Firstly, you upgrade all the infrastructure in the disadvantaged areas.
Is that not expensive?
I think you're coming too quickly.
Yeah, because I'm trying to avoid excuses coming from the city and stuff.
The city has a budget of I don't know how many billion rand.
Mm.
They rather pay the executive directors enormous amounts of money instead of improving the infrastructure. Because if you improve the infrastructure, you stop leaking, which adds to the saving of water. And also, the city is not assisting us also in saving water by having these leaks, by having these communal taps, by having these pit latrine toilets, by having these chemical toilets. It's costing a lot of water. But if you improve the infrastructure, the pipes, the taps, the stopcocks, then you'll save a lot of water. That's the one thing. The business community in Cape Town, the golf parks, the Kenilworth Racecourse, all these big institutions use a lot of water. Why can't they use grey water, recycle water? And what the city of Cape Town is focusing on is the public must save water, but business can make use of water as much as they want to. And our view is fix the infrastructure, let the big businesses use dry water, and then we'll save a lot of water.
Not meaning to play the devil's advocate here, but I'll be honest. If you walk around or drive around our local townships, you would see that a tap is left running. Are we educated enough on the importance of saving water so that when we come to our defense, we're like, but city, we are saving water?
Our communities must be educated, must be informed, and maybe this is one of the platforms to say, if you see a leaking tap, go close it. If you see in the street the water coming out of the street, contact the officials. But that is just the one part. The other part is to come fix those problems. And this is where the city is not delivering those services.
Before we went on air, we had a young chat about rates being so high. What is the effect, do you think, on poorer communities?
The issue of rates, paying of rates and those levies, it keeps our people in poverty. Ne? Because of the unemployment, you get, the city puts on credit people against you, you become blacklisted, you can't get credit. So it's a part of a poverty cycle. The city hasn't worked out a strategy good enough to assist unemployed people, people who can't work, disabled people. If people can't pay, must they be denied the right to
Human
water?
rights.
So the Water Services Act says, the Constitutional Court says, that every person must get an allocation between 50 to 100 liters per person per day.
Per person per day. If there's 5 of us in a household, 500 liters.
Yes.
Okay.
The city, for a house, only gives 6,000 liters for a family maybe of 10. They also then ration that water so that you can't have a shower. The morning you wake up, you can't have a cup of coffee. So the issue of paying for services, there must be a moratorium on unemployed people, black people paying for services. The other word I want to bring in here is, because of apartheid, and because the city of Cape Town is still just lily white, they must pay reparations to black people. They must pay to black people. Hence, the issue of infrastructure, the private sector must pay for that infrastructure.
And what is the WDM and what is the city's stance on it?
WDM stands for Water Device Management, which means if you can't pay, you don't get water. And that regulates, it's like your electricity meter. So if you can't work or you can't find work, if you don't punch in there, you won't get water. But the city gives you 350 liters a day or a month or something like that. We are saying that is not sufficient. The United Nations General Assembly said that sufficient water is a human right. The city of Cape Town is infringing on our rights to access water.
What happens to the gogo that is unemployed? She depends on the government's grant, and she's taking care of her grandchildren because her children do not live with her. Perhaps they are out of the city or they have passed on. She is taking care of the family, but she cannot afford.
That is where the city is allowing you to stay in poverty, is infringing on your human right. The problem our people have is they don't have resources to complain. They can't go to the city office with a taxi because they're unemployed. And that's why the problem remains. Also, our councillors are not doing enough in terms of water and sanitation for our gogos, for our unemployed, our elderly, our disabled. It's a big issue, but the residents of Cape Town don't view it as a big issue.
Who do we turn to? You are unemployed and you open yourself a small business doing car wash. Car wash can't exist without water and sanitation. There's COVID-19. You are told daily to wash your hands regularly. Your tap is dry. We're talking water and sanitation with Zane Poole right here on Open Studio. There's more to come after this quick break. Don't go anywhere. www.capetowntv.org is where you find most of our interesting topics, or you can hop onto YouTube and search for Open Studio. If you've missed half of this show, it is available to you tomorrow morning at 9:30. You're still in conversation with Lamuli Moon and Zane Poole. You're watching Open Studio. We're out of here by 5:30, so make sure that you grasp everything that you can immediately. Email Junaid at capetowntv.org or dial 021 448 to be part of the conversation. We are still talking water and sanitation, and I only heard about ban repayment today, and I'm sure that thousands of our viewers don't know what that is.
Yes, when we say ban prepayment, is take that electricity, prepaid electricity out of the house, take that prepaid water system out of the house. When we speak about the access to water, there cannot be a device that limits your access to water. And therefore we say we must ban prepayment meters. The Constitution, the Constitution dealt with a matter between the city of Joburg and Piri, resident Soweto. And the Constitutional Court said that prepayment meters are valid and legal. We must even change the law in terms of the Constitution also, the Constitutional Court, because we believe that that constitutional ruling is also infringing on our rights to water.
Water and sanitation services need to be available to schools, to workplaces, to hospitals and stuff. Frankly, they are not. How can this issue be resolved? Because it infringes on our health.
When we look at the issue of water and sanitation, it's a two-part thing. It's supposed to be a free part and then a payment part. What the city has done, they've taken away the free part and now they only focus on the payment part. It's going to take a systems change. The way things are being done now is not working. We need a new system that our hospitals, our psychiatric wards, wherever they are, the health sector, can have sufficient water. The treatment of dirty water is also an important issue, where we can use that to wash the linen or whatever. The local government is not investing in that. All they want is to bring about the payment part. And they might even force businesses to have the prepayment water meter. And you know how disastrous that is going to be for a business. So we are saying take away the prepayment meters and give people free access.
They say there's no stupid question, so I'm asking this question for myself now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm assisting somebody who's watching at home.
Yeah.
Do you have an understanding why we have to pay for water? Because it's a natural resource. I might as well be asked to pay for sunlight and pay for the air that I breathe.
You remember when Thabo Mbeki was president of South Africa? He introduced what we call the GEAR policy, Growth, Economic and Reconstruction Policy. That is when the RDP house came in, 40 square meters, asbestos roof, one tap. Now, with the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights, that house must have ventilation, it must have access to water, sanitation, and electricity. It must have access to schools, early childhood development places, police stations, all the services. But with Thabo Mbeki, he gave you the house, but he didn't give you the school. He gives you the house, but he gives you a prepayment meter. So this policy of gear, which another word globally is called neoliberalism, means for us, you get an RDP house. You get a school that is vandalized every day. You get the police who doesn't come to you. If you go to Delft, you won't find this. You won't find tarred pavements. You won't find trees on the pavements. So this is how the city views us. We need to bring about equality. And your point about water, we need to stand up for our water rights.
In your opinion, do you think that we have enough water, enough sufficient water for the whole country to be enjoyed by us, as it is our basic human right?
There is sufficient water. The studies of the earlier question you asked about, are there people that are doing research? They have found that we have enough water. So how do you preserve water? The dam wall mustn't break.
Yeah.
The pipe mustn't leak. The tap mustn't be run open. But it doesn't mean it must be a prepaid system. It is where the government, who we elect to lead in water and sanitation, to be a wise steward, to be a good manager of the running of water. And my view is the fact that we don't have water is because of apartheid's legacy.
Yeah.
To say, black people, you don't need water, or you need minimal water. And we are saying that whole system must change, whether it must change from national government to provincial government or to local government or even to your ward councillor. The system must change.
Let's go back to the gogo that we spoke about earlier on. You touch on the fact that she's unemployed. She cannot take a taxi to the city of Cape Town. She's there living in Mitchell's Plain in the here somewhere. Where does she go to? Who does she ask help from?
I think the gogo must walk down the street to every house, chat to every other gogo, to every person in Lentegeur, and say, we want our water. But it mustn't just happen in Lentegeur. It must happen in Khayelitsha. It must happen in Delft. It must happen in Westbank. It must happen everywhere. And it's not where the gogo must go to the city. Why can't the city come to the gogo?
Sure.
Have a mobile office in the street. And you can deal with these issues. The other thing we've also discovered in our research is, so the gogo can get maybe 50 liters a day, but she has to apply. But she has to go to the city to apply, fill the form in there, take the taxi, all that things. Whereas, why must you apply for your access to water if that water is a fundamental human right?
Yeah, my floor manager is wrapping us up, but I think I wouldn't be doing justice to this interview if I didn't ask you to say a few words to the local government. They're listening to you right now. What are you saying to them?
Local government has been running an apartheid system here in Cape Town. The city of two sides, the haves and the have-nots. I call on all our communities to vote this local government out of office on the 27th of October.
Everybody go out there and vote. You have reasons to vote, either to kick somebody out of the office or keep them into the office. But I'm sure whatever reasons that you're doing it for, you still need your water and sanitation. Whatever you do with this information, it is up to you and it's in your hands. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Open Studio. This was a conversation with Zane Poole talking water and sanitation. We'll see you next time when you join us. Good night, good evening. We love you.